world feels a bit toxic and blah these days, doesn't it? The same old people coming up with the same old solutions for big problems that still don't work. We need to change the game. Well, welcome to Women Advancing. Join me, host Kate Byrne, in this dynamic bi-weekly podcast, bringing together female founders, funders, and thought leaders. Listen to the people driving change, how they got there, how you can help, and yep, how you might just be the next one to advance. Proof that all ships rise with women at the helm. That's what happens when Women Advance with Kate Byrne. Hey everyone, it's your host Kate Byrne from Women Advancing. So, in a world where career success is increasingly tied to visibility, influence, and the ability to adapt, our guest, Subramanian, is helping leaders redefine what it actually means to be indispensable. And there are going to be pieces of it that will surprise you. As the founder of Limitless Leaders and a former Microsoft executive, brings decades of experience guiding emerging leaders how to amplify their impact, not by working harder by any means, but by frankly working it smarter, a whole lot smarter, by developing mindsets, skill sets, and presence that make them sought after voices inside and outside their organization. Really, with this, we focus a lot on the art of authentic influence, which is quite different. How to cultivate trust and visibility and authority in hybrid workplaces, and what it really takes to move from being just competent to compelling. She shares insights about what visibility is truly about, service, not the spotlight, and communicating with clarity, how that's really, frankly, a form of kindness, and shaping careers that test the time of disruption. Because let's face it, in today's world, leadership isn't about titles. It's about being the person that everyone wants in the room when the stakes are high, being the go-to person. And you aren't invaluable because you're busy. You're invaluable because you're doing something that truly matters. Sorry, that just bears repeating. Let's hear what else she has to say. Join me. Welcome, Women Advancing listeners. You are in for a real treat today because who among us has not either had to pivot, is considering pivoting, and needs a little oomph to hear that, hey, when I take that leap of faith, it's going to be okay. Well, we're in luck because today's guest, who is Subramanian, is the founder of Limitless Leaders. And she just might know a little something about that, and she's going to share some pearls. So welcome to Women Advancing.
Thank you so much, Kate. It's a pleasure and honor to be here with you and your audience.
I'm excited. I'm not even going to waste any time. I'm going to go straight to the beginning with your pivot. You built your career at Microsoft. Many of the listeners have either used Microsoft products, have worked for Microsoft, have called on Microsoft as a client. And let's face it, that's one of the world's most complex ecosystems. What exactly inspired you to launch Limitless Leaders? And what gap did you see that corporate structures weren't addressing? Because that was a pretty big one.
So I would think of the reasons I launched Limitless Leaders as twofold. One is I truly realized one day I'm limitless. If I set my mind to something, I will go ahead and achieve it. In my entire 20 years at Microsoft, that's been a recurring theme. And so the first inspiration was, let me help others realize that they are limitless in their potential as well.
Have you?
Second reason is I saw that when we rise from individual contributors to managers and leaders in organizations, the corporate structure isn't really set up to help us make that shift easily.
Mm-hmm.
And we as women especially end up struggling a lot sometimes. At least I did.
Mm-hmm.
The corporate system helps you and teaches you how to perform. But when it comes to teaching you how to lead, how to influence, how to really be seen for your impact, those are things I realized was missing. And so I launched Limitless Leaders to bridge that gap, to help emerging leaders become more influential, more visible with the right mindset, tools, and skills so they can rise in leadership confidently and fully unlock their limitless leadership potential. That's really how Limitless Leaders was born.
which is fantastic because we're only going to need more and more and more and more of this. I don't know about you, but I just feel like life has sped up so much. And I used to think, wow, that month went by. Now it's just down to what happened in the last hour. And this kind of idea of, and it's an important one because people so often overwrite it, this idea of how the influence piece is so, I think, kind of flown over. It's so often, I think people get caught up in this notion of what's my title, et cetera, et cetera. And oftentimes we all know them. I call it the treasure map of a company. Sometimes the people that have the greatest influence, are have the least attractive or sexy titles, but they're often the gatekeepers. Well, so let's talk a little bit about that, sort of this new currency of leadership. Because, we've got AI, we've got automation, restructuring is, they're all in the process of reshaping work. So, what qualities in your mind truly make someone indispensable? Part two, what are the skills behind the skills that help leaders stand out and stay relevant?
This is such a timely question for what we're all facing and going through right now.
True.
Great question. So I believe that there are 5 key traits, Kate, that really give you that human edge. Because with technology now and AI, all the routine tasks, so many things are automated. And I think really what makes you stand out in this era is if you can really capitalize on your human edge. What makes you uniquely human? And I have a framework with 5 pillars. I call it the human framework. H for holistic thinking, U for understanding others, M for magnetic communication,
Oh, nice.
A for adaptability, and N for navigating complexity. I'm happy to go over those a little bit.
Please do. I think that's very helpful.
So the holistic thinking is all about seeing the big picture, right? Bigger than others, before others, and being able to connect the dots that other people miss, and also being able to make sense out of all this great information and data and all of that AI is able to give us at our fingertips, and being able to come up with something that can create massive value and impact.
Right.
So that is holistic thinking. I think that is a skill that will really help people stand out today. The second is understanding others. And this is about emotional intelligence, empathy, being able to build trust. No matter how fast technology grows, I believe that leaders that can build trust and earn trust will always be followed. And they are the ones that will shape the future and lead the way and move people to action. The third pillar, M, is magnetic communication.
I love that phrase. I love the magnetic.
So magnetic communication, again, all about, AI is now writing the scripts. I can go to an AI tool and ask it to create an email for me. But it comes down to taking that and making that communication magnetic so we can inspire people to action. That still relies, on the human. The fourth pillar is adaptability. It is about how to stay grounded and keep evolving and learning even when there is no playbook. Everything underneath the ground is shifting all the time.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. So adaptability is going to be really, really critical. And I think leaders that can adapt and to change and not resist change are the ones that will lead and play this game really well. And the last pillar is navigating complexity. This is about dealing with the complexity that we're dealing with. There's so many emerging technologies, so many different things that we're trying, having to parse, and being able to deal with that and connect the dots and come up with solutions that make an impact would be key as well. So once again, I really believe that these 5 human traits, I call them the human advantage, will always, lie with people. Right. And as humans, if we can leverage these, we can become trusted, stay relevant, and become in demand and be indispensable, as you called it, in this fast-moving AI era.
And, especially now since you'll be managing or overseeing bots and all sorts of just different generations and their relationship to power. and their communication preferences and such. Um, what, I think back to the age-old quote, change is the only constant. Why do we we all know that? Now we're really living it on such a regular daily, if not hourly basis. Why do humans have such a hard time with that? Is it because of you think because of the unknown, or that we just get comfortable and then the rug is kind of pulled out from under us? Or are we kind of maybe, I don't want to say innately lazy, or we just want to rest because we get burned out?
I think it's staying in your zone, in your lane that you're comfortable with. It's always easier. There's
Yeah.
low risk. Many of us are risk averse. And so I think it is tough. It is tough. And that's why I think having a good support system, providing that support with, different programs and initiatives, all of this becomes important. Because I do think it's hard. I mean, for some people, maybe it's, natural and easy. But for
Hmm.
many of us, we need a little bit of help. We need a little bit of support. And I think asking for that help, taking that help is the way to go. And I've been one that has never shied away from asking for help or getting help from others. And so I would encourage everyone to don't think that you have to navigate this alone. There
Yeah.
are systems, people, things in place to help you. So figure out what that is and go get that help.
Well, and I think too, as leaders, and even just, I'll say, as parents, we so often will tell those with whom we work, or, oh, there's no such thing as a dumb question. But then we don't follow that same advice. And so, you know what I mean?
Been there, done that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I want to take a peek and a thought about just this notion of, how does, I'm going to say women particularly, there's so many talented women. How do they, but they often struggle to balance visibility and authenticity. So we all know we want to stand up and we want to shine. It feels icky, especially when you're in an ecosystem where that kind of self promotion can feel kind of ugh, but necessary. So how do you coach leaders to be seen without getting out of alignment with who they are? So without, frankly, performing, like being real and being okay with it.
I struggled with it, Kate, definitely. My turning point came when one of my mentors made me realize that visibility is not about self promotion or bragging. Visibility is about service.
Great.
When you communicate your value, you can serve other people better because when they know who you are, what you do, what you stand for, they can leverage your strengths and your value for a bigger benefit, for something that is will create more difference or make more impact. And so that was an aha moment for me. That changed so many things for me in how I started showing up. I moved away from thinking of visibility as showing off and instead showing up so I can make a bigger impact. And now when I coach my clients, almost everyone, like I coach men and women, everyone, comes up with that and they feel a little bit of hesitation, little bit of that icky feeling when I'm always coaching and preaching the importance of building a personal brand and, and being visible strategically. And when I do that, I hear this often. And so I tell them to reframe visibility as service and not about spotlight.
Nice. That should be a t-shirt. That's really so true. And it goes right along with it's not me, it's we, all of that. All of that. Because then true, you're really in and of the work as
Mhm.
opposed to in and of your head.
Exactly. And think about it, right? If people don't know what I do, how can they use me or leverage me? How can they bring me into bigger conversations and rooms that I'm not in? So I tell my clients to go and craft their narrative, share their impact, tell the stories of, the difference that they're making so that other people can know what value they can bring and can use their strengths. So that is really working. Many of my clients have made that shift as well, the same shift that I have made.
Yeah. No, it makes so much sense. So I'm assuming, but I'm still going to ask this. With all the restructuring and layoffs becoming more and more common, What advice would you have for folks who want to protect their value and security without living in fear of being replaced? And I mean, and that replacement could come either from AI, it could also come from people who don't mind coming in and working 5 days a week in the office, right? I mean, it's so what are some things that you would suggest for them?
So that's my entire playbook. That's what I help clients with. But I will share two things, the top two things that come to mind. The first is I would recommend everyone to invest in building an intentional personal brand. And two is build relationships with people before you need them.
Interesting. And how does one do that? Is that just through outreach or communication or providing information, understanding what they're interested in, and then proactively sharing, hey, came upon this, thought you might be interested in this kind of thing?
All of that, it's getting clear about who you are and what you stand for. So getting clear about how you want to be known and what you want to be known for, having a unique specialization of some kind so you can be, have that unique brand value. And then sharing that proactively, as you said, on whether it's in your meetings, within your organization or online, reaching out to people and sharing that as well. And not necessarily reaching out to people to share your story, but also, be of value, be of service to people.
Right. Again.
Exactly. And nurture those relationships without necessarily expecting anything. And both of those, like building a strong personal brand and building relationships, I think are the ones that will give kind of that, insurance in these times. Yeah. Because if you do that, if your personal brand makes it very clear what your impact is and makes you also, makes people realize that you're authentic and you have integrity. When both of those elements are there in your brand, then what happens is even if something happens with the organization, there's some decision made that impacts, there's layoff, things like that. You're not dependent on just one company's decisions or structure. You now have a brand that speaks for itself and a community of people that know your value and can, open doors for you. So I really believe that those are two things that everyone should just start doing now.
Which makes a lot of sense. But that leads me to something that you and I have tapped on in previous conversations. And there's this whole notion of, it can be frustrating because we work so hard. We want to be indispensable, especially given the environment that we're in, as we just discussed. So is there a danger in becoming too indispensable? So, how do you kind of balance that irreplaceable bit, but still give yourself space to grow, take time off, delegate to others?
Great question. So this is another mindset shift that I help my clients with is the building the brand and nurturing relationships and doing these types of things to make yourself indispensable or irreplaceable do not have to take a lot of effort and time. It starts with really understanding what truly matters and delegating everything else. Because I do agree, trying to become indispensable by doing it all will burn you out. And it's definitely dangerous. And we don't want to go there. I have done that at Microsoft. Initially, I have had phases where I thought I have to do it all. And I have almost burnt out, from that. And so one of the things that I now teach is how to do it in a sustainable way by creating systems and using leverage in a way that you're only doing the things that you absolutely have to do. And you're comfortable delegating, outsourcing, or eliminating the things that you don't have to.
That's a good one. I think there's a lot more that eliminating that really so many of us don't, because we just kind of get in that rote, stuck groove. And then all of a sudden, in fact, I was just thinking about that for myself the other day, realizing, wow, I look at my calendar and there are certain times when I look at the day and I'm thinking, literally, I'm busy, but that's what it is. I'm just busy. It's not necessarily things that are fulfilling to me, not that it always has to be fulfilling, but reciprocal or nurturing or even relevant. It's just kind of out of habit of filling those hours, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so when we start, I think most of the times when we grow up and we are associating, being busy with being impactful and being irreplaceable, I think the shift is realizing that you don't have to be irreplaceable for doing it all. You have to be invaluable for doing something that truly matters.
Whoa. End of the talk. Just kidding. But that's invaluable. Say that again.
You don't have to be irreplaceable for doing it all. You have to be invaluable for doing something that truly matters. That's an honest shift I made in my personal life and professional life. And I had such amazing results. Plus, I was finally able to have balance. And I had time and energy and clarity. So that's the shift again that if we can all make, realizing that we don't have to do it all. Let's find something where we can play that big game and add tremendous value and focus on that, let go of so many other things that can be done by others or eliminated.
And the thing that I'm sure you've discovered this too, so often when we do that, they're the very things we can let go of, someone else loves to do. So
Exactly.
it's another form of service. Great, please, heck,
Exactly. Oh, totally.
take it, right?
Totally. Yeah. I do that. Now I have implemented that in my personal life as well as my professional life. So I don't do anything that someone else can do. And many times, as you said, they are specialists, they are experts, they do a better job, they do it faster. And just you get value, so much value from doing that and
Yeah.
better value.
It's better use of you, frankly.
Exactly. Yes.
So one thing that in that kind of a sense is finding those next leaders, that next group to whom one can pass batons to, share, delegate to. So with that, can we just take 2 seconds? I'd love to hear your take on the real difference between mentorship and sponsorship and how women can really proactively cultivate both. I know there's a lot of talk about this, everyone. So I know at first when I was sitting there thinking, oh, do we need to do this question? But I think Uma brings such a unique perspective that I'd love to hear how you see it.
So mentors have shaped my life like throughout since I grew up. I picked up Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill when I was 17
Ah,
or 18. From that time, I learned the importance of mentors. There is a chapter in Think and Grow Rich on masterminds and the importance of having mentors and surrounding yourself with people that help you grow. So, yes, definitely, I think I'm a product of mentorship. And so, totally can speak to that. Now, coming back between mentors and sponsors and how one can cultivate them, mentors help you grow and sponsors help you rise. Mentors will talk to you. So, mentors will give you advice, they will guide you, they will help you see your blind spots, they will help you develop skills. And sponsors, on the other hand, will talk about you in rooms that you're not in places that or closed doors for you. And that to me, I honestly didn't intentionally build sponsors. Thankfully for me at Microsoft, my management chain usually just inherently became my sponsors. And I had all 20 years top 1% reviews. I got every award, everything that you can imagine. So had an amazing career because my senior management chain was always looking out and supporting me because I was focused on creating massive impact.
right.
But I didn't go out and intentionally build sponsors beyond my immediate line of management chain. But now I do realize the importance and I coach my clients to go, find mentors, work with them to develop and grow. Also develop and earn trust with senior leaders in your company, people that will be in those important conversations and rooms that probably you don't have access to. And I coach them on how to earn their trust so they can have those sponsors advocating for them. I think both sponsors and mentors are critical
Yes.
for women, men, all of us wanting to advance our careers. And it's knowing that mentors will help you grow and develop, and sponsors will help you rise, and that you need.
That's a really elegant way and very easy to remember too for folks, especially. And to me, it takes a certain amount of, I would also say, something I know that Limitless Leaders champions, and that's really viewing emotional intelligence as a competitive edge.
Mhm.
But the question I have for you on that, which is great, how do empathy and boundaries coexist in, I would say, great leadership? So, I think so much people want to feel, but then they end up engulfing themselves and then they lose themselves. So the boundaries are all messed up and they take something on and they actually end up stunting potential growth opportunity for
Mhm.
others to kind of figure it out. So, how do you do that? How do you make sure, or how can one make sure that empathy and boundaries that they actually can coexist?
So, my personal leadership style, I call it leading with love and impact.
Mm,
And I think that is what you're trying to get at, which is the balance between emotional intelligence, empathy, and boundaries. Because I think that's the love and impact kind of both. Definitely includes the empathy side of understanding others and caring for others. For me, the leading with love means really strongly caring for other people and believing in their potential, helping them grow, supporting them, and the leading with impact part, which is the boundaries. I believe that these, the empathy and boundaries, love and impact, they are
wow.
not opposites. They are like they strengthen each other. They go
Right. They
together.
integrate
Exactly.
and
If
create
you
a
want a exactly. If you want a healthy work environment, if you want a high performing team, you need both.
right.
Right? And in my experience, I can share a story. In the tech startup that I was in after Microsoft, there was a skip level direct report that I had. And I was hearing from my direct report, who was a manager managing her, repeatedly coming and telling me that someone that was a high performer had kind of slipped and not producing, not delivering. And I was coaching my direct report to manage her and coach her. But somehow it was, like a few weeks went by and I was hearing the same thing again and again. And I was really surprised because I knew this person and she was a high achiever. She was doing great when she started. And so I just reached out and had a skip level conversation with her and just asked her, hey, I know you and I know the type of work you do and everything. And recently, we're not seeing that. Like, what's going on? And just that open one on one conversation. She opened up and she shared with me, and there was something personal going on with her at that time. And then, we had that full conversation. She committed to she realized that she still had to get the work done and all that. And there was a renewed commitment and passion. And she went back and she was a changed person.
Wow.
The delivery, the everything that she did, her passion just skyrocketed after that. And so
See,
that to me is what is leading with love and impact. You have to be hard. You have to have, those difficult conversations. And I was very direct with her that I expect more from her, that I have high expectations. And I also supported that by saying that I know that she has the potential and she can do it, which is true, which I mean,
yes.
she had already demonstrated that many times. And so to me, that is how you lead with love and impact, with empathy and set boundaries at the same time. So you can create a culture where people feel seen, heard, valued, and kept accountable.
What about the leaders who are afraid, especially when one sometimes old school hears the word love, and like, what? Love, business, workplace? There's no place for that. But to your point, it's actually it's a deep form of caring.
Exactly.
Right? But what do you say to people that are afraid of being too soft? I mean, is there such a thing? I mean, I guess there is, but to be effective.
I think you have to balance that with those hard conversations, hard things that you have to make. If you're, just letting, things run, obviously that's not good. But if you
Right.
can be kind enough, if you can truly care about the person, but also go deeper in that and really see their full potential. And if they, if you can support them, if you can tell them if that is, if they are falling off of that, or if they're not seeing themselves as having that potential, but you see them as having that, higher capability. Saying all those things, bringing those things up will definitely, help. And then I believe that you're not just being soft, but you're also having that, accountability and creating that with them.
Right. It's just a gentler message, but it still has that accountability factor in it. And you need to show up.
Exactly. Yes,
It's
I'm
a
very
simple thing.
direct. Like, yeah, I'm very direct in telling people what I need from them.
Well, that's huge.
Having, yes. So I'm not beating around the bush and like sugarcoating it. So I'm very caring, and I can tell people, all the nice things in the world, but I'm also not just being nice for the nice thing. It's just truly caring and then being very direct when I see something that is not happening, and being able to be comfortable with that as well. Right.
Right.
One of the things I teach, Kate, in my coaching is assertive communication. That's one of the first things I teach. And it's being assertive, it's being direct and being very clear in your communication on what you want and why you want it. And so I believe that leading with love is not all like soft and like, being nice and all that. It is being direct, it's being clear. I think Brené Brown made this quote somewhere, that being clear is being kind. And
Mm.
so I also believe that, when you're direct and when you're clear, you can still be kind, and you can communicate your message.
No, so well said. Well, so as all of these sands are shifting, I'm kind of curious, looking ahead in that, future of work crystal ball, how do you see the definition of career success actually evolving? Like, for instance, what will indispensability look like 5 years from now, especially for women leading across cultures, industries, technologies, humans, droids, bots, bring it. What would you say?
I think right now, we are kind of brought up thinking that career growth means it's linear and it's, vertical, hierarchical. You keep climbing up the straight ladder. And I know many of us have already felt that's not really true even today.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and I literally did career jungle gym infographic on LinkedIn last
Fun.
week, I think, showing that your career is no longer a straight line. It probably looks like a career jungle gym, and how to really own your story and narrative so you're communicating that clearly to your interviewers. But that aside, I just want to say that 5 years from now, I really believe that it's going to even look like a more complex jungle gym. And the future of work is going to be more and more dynamic, agile, and fluid. I think people are going to move around. There's going to be so many like technologies that are going to keep coming up. Lots of changes to adapt and evolve. So the leaders and women especially, if we want to keep up with this, I think continuous learning, developing strategic agility, being
Mhm.
able to understand what's happening in the landscape, and being able to connect the dots and make sense out of it and figure out what they can do and how they can navigate,
Right.
and developing range, not being limited to one thing, but having a range and being able to shift gears and jump across industries, across cultures, across business strategies. Those types of things would become really, really instrumental, I think. And definitely the human framework that I shared before, I think all of those skills kind of are the underlying traits that I think we will still need, 5 years from now.
Well, and will definitely set you up for that kind of success and those kinds of shifts, frankly, because that notion of range,
Mhm.
because I think, eventually the more things change, the more they stay the same. And there's so many, you'll all of a sudden be able to start recognizing in this industry, this set of traits or this action, these actions are called XYZ. And in the one that I'm coming from, they'll call it QRS. It's the same thing with just a slight switch. So you'll start realizing, oh my gosh, there's just some certain commonalities
Exactly.
amongst everything. And I would hope that that would sort of free up and enable some creativity too,
Yes, one
right?
and innovation, definitely. Mhm.
All right. Well, so in closing, knowing what you know now, and that is a heck of a lot, obviously, what advice would you give your younger self?
I think if I can go back in time and maybe talk to my 20-year-old self, I would say really get clarity on what truly matters to you and focus on those and let go of everything else. Because as I look back in my career and life, I realize, oh my goodness, that amount of time that I have spent on useless things is just unbelievable. So that would be the first thing. And the second thing I think I would say is understanding that rest is not weakness, but a strategy. I learned it really late after like a few different, thankfully, small health issues. And I would really tell my younger self to realize that importance and take rest more, which I do now, but I wish I had known earlier.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think, and I'm shocked, and that's one of the reasons why I really love having these conversations and why I continue to build Women Advancing. It never, I do a lot of mentoring and advising and sponsoring, and including my own daughters and stepdaughters and little bonus grandkids. And the one thing that still baffles me is this. We all now, the wizened crones who have gone on and lived it and realized, shoot, I wish I knew it was okay for me to rest, or I didn't care. I should be doing what matters. Everybody always still to this day, 18 on, everyone says, well, I really love to do this, but you know what? I need to go be a consultant. I need to go do this. I need to go do that because these famous and I'd like us to be able to sit down with the famous they and say, okay, enough. They're ethereal. It's like Oz behind the curtain. And so please, please, please listen, 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 because it's really true. Don't waste your God precious hours, life, ideas, creativity on things that just so don't matter and so aren't important.
I wish I had known that 20 years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think, we hear it, but then we watch do as I say, not as I do.
exactly.
And I think we're
Exactly.
getting better, though. I think we
Yeah,
are getting
yes.
better. There are certain things I think we're getting better. And I think still people may not always want to hear some of it. Like we're sharing a lot more about health and a lot more about our changes in our bodies that are taking place throughout various phases of life. Appreciate that. I know some people are so grossed out by it, but don't be.
Mhm.
You'll be glad you know. And it really just, anyway. So, oh my gosh, Uma, thank you so, so much. Now, we're going to be including all the links and everything for you. So, I'm really going to urge I'm going to say that, women advancers, please go check out Limitless Leaders. It's so unique in a lot of different ways. And I also just love the fact, again, that it's the pivot from a corporate. And sure, there have been others that have done it, but this is really, there's so much more spirit and I'm going to say love that is celebrated as opposed to tucked away in a little corner. So thank you for all the future generations for doing that.
Thank you so much, Kate, for having me here and for this conversation. I enjoyed it
My pleasure.
thoroughly.
Until next time. Wow. Honestly, Uma could start a t-shirt company because of all the pithy sayings, and they're also smart and wise. I love them. I think it's really fascinating to hear someone from corporate in a corporate ecosystem speak to something we've all experienced in some ways, and that is that we're in those environments often taught how to perform, but not necessarily how to lead. She shares that she really feels that the key traits for moving forward and being successful are going to be holistic systems thinking, understanding humans, magnetic, love this phrase, communication, which means your communication is sticky and people hold on to it. Adaptability, no kidding, shifting sands, they're only going to start shifting more so. And then navigating everything, inside, outside, home, and more. About how visibility is about service it's really not about the spotlight at all. And I think that's something so incredibly true. The fact that rest is a strategy, perhaps the most elegant definition of mentorship and differentiation between mentorship and sponsorship. And that is that mentors, they help you grow and they talk to you and help. Sponsors help you rise, and they do that by bringing your voice and giving you voice at the rooms that they're in. And so they talk about you in places where you cannot. And I would also say this whole notion of developing a career range rather than just being sure you can be a specialist, but the fact that there's a breadth and a depth to what you're able to do, because that will truly help make you invaluable. Because at the end of the day, you aren't invaluable by being busy. You're invaluable because what you're working on matters. So, look forward to the next conversation with all of you. Let me know what you think and have a terrific week.
Thanks for listening. May this episode inspire you to move forward. Be sure to go to iTunes, Spotify, katebyrne.co, that's KATEBYRNE.co, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, and listen to even more episodes. Here's to strong women. May we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. And be sure to meet them on the next Women Advancing. Ta till next time.